The first task is about your lecture, and I think you had this task in the quiz, something like this. So let's read, and I'm waiting for your answers. The Phillips curve implies that when unemployment is high, inflation is low, and vice versa. Therefore, we may experience either high inflation or high unemployment, but we will never experience both together. Is it true or false? And please explain. So,
Or can I try?
please.
Okay, so from lecture we know that there is a negative relations between inflation and unemployment rate. So it changes with the way people, basically, the Phillips curve shows a change in the inflation rate. So we can state that in this problem, this is true because the change will happen because they have the negative relation. So as one goes up, the other goes down, and vice versa.
And this is in the Phillips curve. What is what we know in the Phillips? If we have such relation, what we know about expected inflation?
You mean when inflation would increase?
If we have such negative connection, what we know about expected inflation?
What do we know? Well, I mean, we know that it would increase if the productivity of labor would be lower, and if lower unemployment rate would be present, and same with like higher inflationary expectations. So we know in all those cases it would increase.
But let's look. So we have Phillips curve. It is expected plus markup plus institutional factors minus alpha. Yes. So, and our connection is true here. Yes. Now this is true if we have stable expectations. If this is constant and does not change. Yes. So in your lecture you had such info that this connection is true only if expectations are equal to 0.
Oh yeah.
And what example you had when we have the situation of both high unemployment and high inflation? How we call this situation? Remember?
Is it stagflation?
It's stagflation, and we know such examples. Yes, you had one in the lecture.
Like increase of the price of oil.
1970. It's, for example, in 1970 we had increase in oil prices.
It goes a chain reaction of cost increasing, and that kind of affected labor market and the markup.
So we had increase in oil prices and then increase in costs, which leads to inflation. And then after such crisis, we had a stable increase in prices each year. Yes, stable increase. So then we have stable increase in prices. And but before this event, people expect no change in prices in the economy.
So was that the only time in history where a country experienced stagflation?
No, it's not the only example. look at examples of hyperinflation, like I don't know,
Well,
in 90s in
isn't
our country.
hyperinflation a little bit different from stagflation, though?
A little bit, but we can we can present it as an example when we have the situation of high inflation and high unemployment both. So when um, uh, in 90s in our country, yes, we had a very fast increase in prices and also very high unemployment. Yes, people couldn't find the job. So in
Yeah,
crisis
but like
period.
hyperinflation is when prices increase way too fast, while stagflation it happens slowly at the same rate. So they're I guess inflation is going up, but they're totally two different. They're two different things, though.
Okay, you can
Because hyperinflations happen all the time, right? But stagflation, I'm asking about their example of stagflation as I understand it, right? They increase about the same rate. So while hyperinflation is like Russia in the 1990s, Germany in 1920s, not Congo, I think Congo in 2000s, and things like that, right? So it's just you start printing trillions of um, papers pretty much, while stagflation is only caused by, in this case, oil, or can it be caused something else? That's why I'm asking for it. Are there other examples of stagflation, not hyperinflation?
Well, I mean, in the lecture we will mention that it can happen in any cases when the inflation and unemployment will increase rapidly at the same time.
The magic word is could happen. I'm asking if what other big terms, like for example, whenever I see stagflation, it always says in the US 1970s. That's why I'm asking.
uh, okay, I thought about this example as uh, high inflation and high unemployment. When we had such situations, when we have, for example, hyperinflation, and we know such examples. And I don't know. We can Google other examples of stagflation. Why not? If it can happen, let us explain this example. Why that happens? Uh, that happens because we understand now. We understand now that prices will increase. Yes, the prices increase each year right now. Yes, and we cannot expect anymore no change in prices. Yes, and now people begin to adapt their expectations. Agree? After this event, they begin to think that no, prices are not stable; they are growing. Yes, they adapt their expectations. And now, for example, you considered adapted expectations. Now we have now how we think that inflation this year will be connected with the inflation the previous year. It's for example, where this theta belongs from 0 to 1. So before we had this theta equals to 0, and now it is equal to 1. And if it is equal to 1, for example, yes, we think that prices will increase, yes, they will actually, and this inflation rate actually begin to increase, yes, even if we have a stable rate of unemployment, it actually begin to increase. So here is not 0 anymore, yes, it increases each year. So that's why uh, we can have high unemployment and high inflation in the same time. What else to say about this part? Yeah, examples of stagflation. Okay. we Google other examples? Mhm.
What are we googling?
Examples of stagflation.
It's going.
I see the example in 90s in Russia also stagflation. A high inflation and not it's not about only hyperinflation. Yes, we
Mhm,
did not have hyperinflation all 90s in Russia.
mhm.
We had high inflation, and then when it was crisis in 98,
98.
98, yes, it's only 98, but all 90s we had stagflation. Then what else? Uh, in Ukraine in 2008 till 2009. What else?
But
Yes.
wasn't 2008 is a world crisis? So can we say that stagflation is kind of related?
Not in all countries. It depends. I think it depends on
You also got to think about it.
development of the country. Yes.
Yeah, in 2008 it was also the highest, the peak of oil prices. So if you had, it was a spike because of the Olympics. It was like right, it was the Olympics, and then during the Olympics it was the crisis with Georgia, and then the oil spiked to like 120 or something like that, or 30, and that could lead to stagflation, and yeah,
Yes.
especially
So
so it affects huge countries that are not exporters of oil but only importers, right? In this case, if we talk about oil prices, because a lot of the examples were given, but then Russia is in this list, but a lot of the examples that were given are what happened because of oil.
it's one of the main factors
Mhm.
in our real economy. Why not? Yes. But Russia is exporter, but they're also okay. In 90s, it was not the main factor oil prices.
Could
Yes.
could this, I guess, stagflation also happen when it's a reverse, when there's a huge drop in oil prices for oil exporters?
Mm. But but also if
Be-
we will decrease if oil prices are lower for our country, now costs are lower and prices will be lower. Okay,
no,
in model.
costs would not be lower because the ruble is really
Ah,
dependent on oil, and so if you have a ruble that's not worth it anymore, that means it's automatic inflation because you can't buy the same amount as you could before. So, for example, if oil dropped to $10 per barrel, ruble would go to 120, 140.
yeah, so and we'll have increasing prices also. Why not?
So in this case, if it's the reverse for, can we consider that if it's a reverse for oil countries, it would, like, you can have stagflation. It's for all export countries that are super dependent on oil.
Why not? Yes, we can say like this. Okay, we can discuss it infinitely
Yes.
about
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
the
Of
real
course.
world.
Just
Yes.
it's just an interesting topic. That is all.
Yeah, and when we, you see that when we start our discussion about real world, a lot of factors matter, and that's why we study in economics to think in model terms, to make some conclusions, some strong conclusions, strict conclusions. Yes, so let us today discuss our models. Yes, and not to go deeper in real world.
There's
So
just 10 brave souls here, so want to know the truth. All of us here want to know the truth and more about stagflation versus hyperinflation.
okay. So, about this, is it clear that
Yes.
before we saw that
Yes.
there were no, before we saw that there will be no increase in prices, and now we cannot think like this, so we adapt our expectation. That's why we can have high inflation and at the same time high unemployment rate. So, and now we will check it in number two by using numbers in calculations. Mhm. number 2. Let us look one more time. I will write our formula in general for Phillips curve for you to write down it. And let's see. So mu is the markup of firms that shows us the monopolization of the market. Yes, Z institutional factors. And negative relation between unemployment and inflation. Here we have minus. And let us explain why in Phillips curve, if inflation goes up, then unemployment rate goes down. Who knows this explanation? It shows it explains the slope of Phillips curve. Negative slope.
Well, I remember there were, maybe I'm mistaken, but in the lecture, Yuri often almost told us like that when inflation was low and not persistent, it was basically like reasonable for people to ignore past inflation when it's equal 0, and it had different outcome thereafter. Are you talking about this?
We were talking about this in the previous task.
Yeah, I know. I thought that you asked like what did change here. So
No. Here, I want to explain this negative connection in the Phillips curve, how we will explain it. Okay, so if we will have lower level of unemployment, what that means? That more people will work, so more workers are needed, yes? More workers are needed. So that means that their bargaining power increases and they ask for higher wages, that increases costs, and that will lead to increase in prices. And this is inflation. So this is the explanation of this negative connection between them. Let us write down one more time. So bargaining power of workers, as in previous class, increases. That means that they will ask for higher wages, which increases costs of firms, which lead to increase in prices, and this is inflation. Yes? Okay, then let us explain markup. Higher markup means higher prices in the economy, easy, yes? Institutional factors we'll also discuss in the number 3. But it's all about unemployment benefits and something like this. Okay, then what do you know about natural level of unemployment? How we can find natural level of unemployment from our Phillips curve?
It is actual level of inflation when it is equal to expected level of inflation.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So it is the situation when our expectations are correct. Yes, expectations are correct. And let us connect this this thing with the previous class. When we have natural level of unemployment, we have natural level of output. Agree? So it's produced by constant number of people. Yes, natural level of output. And what we know about natural level of output? It's the situation when we stuck in long run equilibrium. Yes. So how we draw long run aggregate supply in the previous class? Here was output, here prices, and long run aggregate supply was vertical line, natural level of output. You remember this? And when we found long run equilibrium, we told that in long run equilibrium, expectations are correct. Yes, so each point at long run aggregate supply means that price equals to expected price level. You remember this? So I wrote to you, expectations are correct in the long run equilibrium. Yes, and if expectations about price level are correct, that means about inflation also, because it's the same. Agree? So here. So that's why we move back to natural level of unemployment, and it is the situation when our expectations about increasing prices, about inflation, are correct. So let us put this into our formula for Phillips curve. You see, if they are equal to each other, we can delete them. Yes. So this will be 0 equals to 0 plus mu plus z minus alpha multiplied by natural level of unemployment. So natural level of unemployment equals to mu plus z over alpha. So it's constant, yes, stable, something like this. So, okay, let us consider our task. In our task, we have Phillips curve, expected inflation plus 0.1 minus 2 multiplied by unemployment rate. And we have adaptive expectations equals to theta multiplied by inflation in the previous year. And in point A and B, they told us that suppose theta equals to 0. What that means? That means if we put 0 in our expectations, it means that we expect no inflation. Yes, no increase in prices right now. Okay. So our first task is to find natural level of unemployment. Who wants to count very fast? Please, somebody. Guys, how are you?
We're good. How are you?
Mhm.
It is
Okay.
number 3.
How much?
It is number 3. We're discussing number 3 or the second?
No, number 2.
Okay.
Number 2.8, natural rate of unemployment. And who told me that it is the situation when expectations are correct? So put it in the formula, please.
Natural rate of unemployment is equal to 0.1 divided by 2.
Yes, so 5%. Yes, exactly. So here we put this. 0 equals to 0 plus 0.1 minus 2 multiplied by unemployment rate. So natural rate of unemployment will be equal to 0.1 over 2 or 0.05 or 5%. And now what is happening? Now, in year T, the authorities decide to bring the unemployment rate down to 3% and hold it there forever. Let's write down this. So now, in year T, authorities decrease unemployment up to 0.03 and hold it forever. What that means? That means that now we will have unemployment rate 0.03, lower than natural rate of unemployment. Yes. So now we see that extra people are needed to produce more goods. Yes. Unemployment now is lower. Or we can say that cyclical unemployment is less than 0 right now. And what that means, if more workers are needed, they have higher bargaining power, and what will happen? Prices will increase and we will have inflation in this situation. Yes? Let's see, more workers are needed. That's why higher wages. That's why costs will increase, higher prices, so inflation will be bigger than 0. Yes? And now let us check it. We should count the inflation in year t, the inflation year t plus 1, in year t plus 2, and in year t plus 5. Who wants? I will not count it for you. It's too easy. Put numbers into formula. Maybe we will not do it this task, or what?
Maybe it's 0 plus 0.1 minus 2 multiplied by 0.03.
Yes, and this is 0.04. Yes, 4%. Exactly. So our expectations are equal to 0. Yes, in this part. Then year t plus 1 expectations.
It's 1.04.
One more time.
No.
Expectations equal to 0. Yes.
Yes.
Then plus 0.1.
0.05.
Why 0.05 minus 2 multiplied? We hold forever. Yes, our unemployment rate. It is how much? 0.04. Also 4%. Then here expectations also 0 and all the same, also 4%. And each year price increase will be by 4%. If we do not adapt our expectations, if we expect 0 increase in prices. Yes, this is true. Okay, this is true. If we expect no change in prices. A, B, C. But what will happen in reality? I think we discussed it. What we will begin to do in real economy. In real economy, if prices increases, yes, each year, we cannot think that change in prices will be 0. We see that they increase by 4% each year. So what we begin to do? We begin to adapt our expectations. Yes. And that will lead to what? So here will be, for example, let's say here was 0, and then we got positive, yes, rate of inflation. Then if we adapt our expectation, we think that our inflation this year will be connected with the previous year. And we put here the previous year inflation, and you see that the number will become higher. Not 0.04, but bigger number. here also bigger number, and inflation rate increases if we begin to adapt our expectations, such that inflation rate will increase as time passes. And in D, they told us that in year T plus 5, people understood that something wrong. Prices increases, yes, and prices increases each year. So in our task, we see that theta now is equal not 0 but 1. What will happen to our expectations now? For example, in year T plus 5, what we will expect? That is equal to 1 multiplied by inflation in the previous year. Previous year from T plus 5 is T plus 4. So, and now we should count inflation year T plus 5, inflation year T plus 6, and T plus 7. Okay, who wants? I should ask by list or what? What is happening with you today?
Should we put in the first place the number of inflation which was in the fourth year, like 0.04 multiplied by 4?
0.04, it's inflation the previous year, yes?
Yes.
Then?
Plus 0.1
Mhm.
minus 2 multiplied by 0.3.
Mhm.
And we should count.
And this will be 0.04 plus 0.04.
0.08.
8%. Next year, how much? What we should put here?
0.08.
Inflation of the previous year.
0.08. 0.1 minus 2 multiplied by 0.03.
So now it is
0.12.
12% right now. Yes. And the next without counting, how much?
24%.
Why 24?
16.
16, yes, 16%. You see that increase will be 4% each year. Yes. 16%, 0.16. So you see that when we begin to adapt our expectations, when we realize that prices will grow, and we expect this, they will actually grow with a faster pace, yes? And it's like self-fulfilling expectations. We expect increase in prices, and they will actually increase, but with faster pace. And that's bad for us, yes? So, ABCD, okay. Do we see such increase in inflation rate in reality? I don't think so. It's very fast increase in inflation rate, and it will continue. It will continue, yes, next years. What we can say about reality? What is very strong assumption in our model?
That nothing changes. Everything is constant.
Everything is constant. What constant? Okay. It's about like this monopoly power, yes, and
Sure. Yes.
institutional factors. Okay. Yes.
Like the government doesn't do anything about it. So
Yes, yes. So in reality, for example, central bank controls the inflation. Like in Russia, we have a target inflation. Yes, central bank controls.
you can raise interest rates, and a central bank can do a lot of things.
Yes, yes. Central bank controls inflation, and government also controls inflation. Government also by providing fiscal policy. Yes, we discussed it in the previous time. So also in our model, let's see. In our model, what has changed in point D? We adapted our expectations from and put theta from 0 to exactly 1. Yes, but maybe it's not equal to 1, this theta. Maybe it can be between 0 and 1. Yes, for example, 1/2 or something like this. And if we if theta is equal to 1, it's like polar situations, like the fastest growth of inflation. Yes, but maybe theta belong from 0 to 1, and that's why it's not being very fast growth. But also that this is the main point, that in reality central bank controls this fact. Yes. Okay. And also we can have not such adaptive expectations. We can put also, for example, expectations can be like some coefficient theta multiplied by the previous year -1 plus coefficient, I don't know, psi multiplied by inflation in year t -2, and we can continue it. Why we consider only the previous year inflation? We can consider also, we can add, yes, so also years before t-1, yes, or we can and it's only one example, adaptive expectations. You can read in your textbooks about other expectations, how they are constructed. Okay, so guys, please, questions about this task. Let's talk about natural rate of unemployment. Number 3. We found that it is markup plus institutional factors over alpha. It can help you to answer, but you can not look at this formula and explain in an intuitive way how different factors affect natural rate of unemployment. First factor is globalization. What will happen? With unemployment? Who wants?
Will it be decreased?
Why? Elizabeth, why? What means globalization? It means that economies become more open. Yes, that means
and more dependent on one another.
yes.
Maybe
Please?
maybe because more opportunities for work come to the country or something like that.
More international countries, yes, in Russia, for example, yes, and more workplaces. Why not? And that's why unemployment will decrease. Yes, exactly. So let's write down this.
Maybe because there will be no barriers to enter the economy. to the liberalization.
Lower barriers, yes,
Yeah.
and what it means?
It means that more workers and companies can enter the market and unemployment rate will decrease.
So more companies, yes, in the market, and that means increase in competition between firms, yes?
Yes, but also more workplaces will be
Mhm.
focused, and that means that natural rate of unemployment will decrease.
Mhm. So that's all about more workplaces in the economy. Yes. Okay, let's explain. So first explanation: globalization, more firms. That means more workplaces. That means that it's easier to find a job. Yes. That means that, for example, we can say and frictional and structural unemployment will decrease. Yes, so it is natural rate of unemployment will decrease. Also, we can explain it through markup. If we have more firms, we have higher competition in the market. Yes, higher competition means lower prices. Let's say competition, more firms, that means competition between firms rises, that leads to lower prices. Low demand, lower prices leads to higher output. And for higher output, we need more workers to work. Yes, so unemployment is going down. So more workers needed. That's why employment goes down. And this about competition decreases monopoly power. Yes, decreases mu. And you see in our formula in Phillips curve, lower mu means lower natural rate of unemployment. Okay, point B. In B, we have population aging. Once?
So in this case, unemployment rate will be increasing because there are less workers.
Less people are included in the labor force. Yes, less workers. I can explain through this. So unemployment rate will go up. And also, if we have this population aging, what that means? That means that average productivity is lower now. And if average productivity is lower now, we pay lower wages and we need less amount of such workers, non-productive workers. Yes.
I had a question. If the population is aging, why is the unemployment going up?
Okay, one more time. Population aging. That means that more people now are pensioners, and we know that pensioners, they are not included in labor force. Yes. So let us write down more pensioners not included in labor force. And also we know the formula for unemployment rate. It's a number of unemployed people over labor force. Lower labor force, lower amount of people in labor force will lead to higher unemployment rate. If we assume that amount of unemployed people are constant.
May I ask a question about point A?
Mhm.
Could you please explain one more time why prices goes down if competition increases? Because, for example, if competition increases, it means that more people are employed. It means that they have money. That's why prices can be a little bit higher. Or I'm incorrect?
Okay,
It-
let us remember microeconomics. You know that in perfect competition, prices are lower than in monopoly. Yes. So
Yes.
high competition between firms leads to lower prices. They compete for consumers. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Thank you.
Oh, here competition between firms. I wrote down between, not between workers, but between firms.
Between firms. Okay, sorry, I thought between people.
Between firms, yes, here. And that's why this markup, monopoly markup, yes, the ability to set prices higher than marginal cost goes down. So we now we lose our monopoly power. Firms lose their monopoly power. Mhm. Okay, so let us consider this one. Alex, is it okay or not? Or I need to explain one more time.
I didn't really understand the part because if the people are retiring, their work positions are being open, so someone is being hired for their spots. I didn't get that part. So like for example, if you have 100 workers that they're retiring, at least 70-80% of their spots will go to people who are currently unemployed. So for me, that doesn't make sense. If we don't include automation into this process.
Okay, okay. We can explain like this if we want, or if you don't like such explanation, let us explain through productivity of workers. On average now, average worker is now of higher weight, bigger age.
Yeah,
Yes,
higher age.
higher age. And what is happening? That means that average productivity goes down. We can think like this. Yes, we can assume this. Average productivity of workers goes down. That means average product of labor goes down. Yes. And now firms, for lower productivity, they will pay lower wages. Yes.
I guess we don't include the fact that the firms can fire them for low productivity and hire younger people.
That it's an average population is now older. Yes. And
We don't take pensioners into this example because if the pensioners are exiting the labor force, that means their spots are opening it up. So then if the population is aging and they're exiting the worker force, that means that new younger people are coming in, but because there's less of them, I don't understand that example. So if there's 100 people retiring and there's 80 people entering the labor force because the overall population is aging, then there's a minus 20, there's 20 open spots. So that in this example, there's a lack of workers. So the unemployment rate goes down, not up. At least that's how I see it. I must be missing something.
No, and you have the logic. You are right. If you explain like you explain, you can if you will have, for example, in exam such task, you can write your arguments, and that will be correct. Yes. Why not?
Okay. So, but for just don't understand your example.
You explained through new workplaces, yes, because they and young people now can be employed, yes. So if you will explain through this,
Okay.
yes, why not?
Okay.
Why not? And but I want, as always, to explain.
Yes, of course, of course.
I want to explain it through our models that we are.
I don't understand now. Okay, if we're just talking about the model, I understand it. Yes, for now, I understand it.
Mhm. So
Thank you.
let's write down this. If productivity, average productivity on average goes down of our workers, if we assume that not more pensioners, this is one example, this is one explanation, second explanation, not connected to the first explanation. Here, for example, older, on average, workers now, all workers now are older on average. Let's assume like this.
So if we take a real life example, like for example, baby boomers, right? The baby boom population, they're not retiring, but they're becoming 40, 50 years old.
Yes,
They're
yes,
being old, but they're not ready to retire. Got it. Okay.
yes. Yes. Okay, let's assume this. So productivity is lower now, lower wages. Yes. What this will mean? Lower wages. That means lower prices, and but that's not about this. So if average product of labor goes down, we will pay through our price setting model. Here unemployment, here was real wage. This is wage setting equation we had, and this is price setting equation. And now firms wants to pay less to workers. So price setting equation goes down. Because average product of labor is lower. And you see, when we cross wage setting and price setting equation, we got natural rate of unemployment. So unemployment will be higher. We can explain through this. Or logically that if productivity is lower, firms do not need so many such unproductive workers, yes? So they fire more people, yes?
Yes.
Why not? So like this, we can explain also. Let's do C. Ask if or any other comments about this. Then internet services such as Udemy, Mechanical Turk, Uber, and others.
So all these services provides employment opportunities, meaning that unemployment rate will be decreased.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, exactly. So more opportunities to find a job faster. Yes, to find a job. So the time you are trying to find the job decreases. Yes, so we'll have lower frictional and also structural unemployment. Why not? In frictional unemployment, for example, graduated students, graduated people, young people, they now need less time to find a job. Yes, they are included in frictional unemployment. In structural, if you lose the job because now this job is not popular anymore, yes, in the world, you can find new job faster. Yes, why not? Structural also decreases. So unemployment decreases. What else we can say about this?
Excuse me.
Please?
But how are international services different from globalization? Isn't that the same thing, basically, in essence?
Yes, it's the same thing. But also we can add one more explanation, like these internet services you do, Uber, they provide works, for example, Uber, it provides works for not so skilled people, for unskilled people, yes? And unskilled now faster find their jobs, yes? And this is the explanation here. But also for globalization, why not? Yes.
Well, yes,
Same.
that's I've been thinking they're really similar in this regard.
Yes, yes, yes. So also, that's right. Here are more opportunities to find a job. Yes, and here that less skilled can find the job. So it's about more information. It's about better institutional factors. Yes, better institutional factors. That means okay, better institutional factors. In our model in Phillips curve, it means decrease in Z. Decrease in Z. Yes, that means that natural rate of unemployment will decrease. So, okay. We can discuss more about this. Okay. Next, in point 4, in number 4, we need to check this neutrality of money, as we considered in the previous class. As you remember, neutrality of money is the situation that in medium run, monetary policy is useless in real terms. Yes. In what that means? That means that in medium run and long run, if a central bank prints money, increase the supply of money in the economy, in medium run it will lead only to inflation, to the increase in prices, and there will be no change in interest rate, no change in GDP, something like this. You remember? Neutrality of money in medium run. If okay, in medium run, monetary policy influence only nominal terms, nominal variables, but not real. And that means if a central bank increases the supply of money, that will lead only to increase in prices in the medium run. And all other real variables like GDP, interest rate, they will stay constant. Yes, and from this, it is written in the task that we can assume that inflation rate should be equal in medium run. Inflation rate should be equal to the rate of the increase of nominal money stock. How to rewrite it? What that means? Formula for inflation is the change in prices. Yes, percent change in prices. So it's prices today minus prices yesterday over price level yesterday multiplied by 100%. What means rate of the change of nominal money stock? That means the supply of money today minus the supply of money yesterday over the supply of money yesterday multiplied by 100%. And we should check this statement that it's true for medium run. We should fill in the table. Let's do it first because I think it's not super difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we will have nominal money supply in billions. Here we will count this rate of change in nominal money stock, then price level. Here it was 5.2, then it is 100, then 105, then 110.25. In those, we should calculate inflation rate. So, first of all, can we count these two rates for year 1? We cannot do it. Why? Because for counting, we need information about previous year. But we do not know. We do not have information about year 0. Yes. So for the first year, these rates are not counted. Then for year 2, what will be the change in money supply? How to count it? We take money supply today minus money supply yesterday over money supply yesterday and multiplied by 100%. It's in year 2. Inflation in year 2 will be inflation today, 100 minus tomorrow, over, not tomorrow, yesterday, multiplied by 100.
The first
If you
one
will
is
count it, how much?
5%. The first one.
So here we will find 5% and here also 5%. Here you see it's easier to find it not by calculate, but look at it. Money supply before was 400 and now it is 420, increased by 5%. Yes? Got it? Increased by 20, and that 20 is 5% out of 400. Yes? So here 5%. Here easier. Price level before 100, now it is 105. The increase by 5%. And here also, you see, it was 420. Now it increased by 21. 21 is 5% out of 420. 5%. And here also, it increased by 5.25, and 5.25 is 5% out of 205 or 105. And if we calculate all this, now we checked that in the medium run, you see, the inflation rate equals to the rate of change in money supply, nominal money supply. So we checked it. Inflation equals to 5% for each year and equals to rate of change in money supply in nominal terms each year. So checked. That's all. Questions about this task?
No, it's clear.
I hope. Okay, guys, please raise your hands who tried to answer today. Everybody wants to raise the hand, not answer, but raising the hand.
You used the magic word tried.
Mm-hmm.
Having the lessons back to back, to be honest with you, Thursday and Friday was a little bit difficult.
Mm-hmm. So next, okay, we will meet each other next Tuesday. So hope it will be better.
Yeah, it'll be much better.
And we
Mhm.
already be done with our projects and maybe get some sleep.
Yeah.
So, Marina, Olga, Elizaveta,
Thank you so much and have a wonderful weekend.
you too. Thank you. So, Alex.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Glafira Ugarova. Владислав.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Все, всех записала.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.